Hello, as I promised, I am back, and I am going to be doing a multi-character ex-listener My Hero Academia fanfic reading for today, so I hope you enjoy. This story was originally written by Chocolateisagift on Wattpad. Izuku Midoriya. You and Midoriya were very close friends. You and him were simply going to study at his place for a while since you were very behind, and there was a test coming up. You didn't know how late you would be at Midoriya's house, but you didn't really mind. His mother was a sweetheart, and he didn't make you uncomfortable in any way. Once you got to Midoriya's house, you knocked. The door opened shortly after, and you saw his mother. "Ah, listener, come on in," she said with a smile. You smiled and walked in, sitting down on the couch. "He's in his room right now. I'll tell him to come out soon," she said before making her way over to Midoriya's room and knocking. "Izuku, listener is here." You didn't hear what Midoriya said in response, but you waited patiently as his mother walked back into the kitchen. Midoriya came out and spotted you. "Hello, listener. Are you ready to study?" Midoriya asked. "Yes, of course," you said, standing up. "Alright, we can go to my room," Midoriya said, turning before you could see the light pink on his cheeks. Midoriya walked to his room. You sat on his bed while he sat at his desk. You two began studying. Not too long after, you started to get bored. "Midoriya," you look up at him, interrupting what he was telling you. "Yes?" he questioned. "I'm bored," you said, putting your pencil down. "Listener, we have to study. The test is in a week, and you're behind," Midoriya said with a giggle. "But, Midoriya," you pouted. "Small break. What do you want to do?" Midoriya asked, giving in. You looked out his window. "Go on a walk?" "It's dark out," Midoriya said. "A late night walk?" you said excitedly. "I'd have to ask my mom. I don't think she'd be very fond of me going out this late," Midoriya said, standing up as he did the same. You and Midoriya walked out of his room into the kitchen to ask if you guys could just go on a walk. It took a bit of convincing, but his mom cautiously agreed. You excitedly walked next to Midoriya, which made him giggle a bit. "You're really excited about this. Is there something more behind this? You've never been this excited over a walk," Midoriya said. You looked at him and felt your cheeks heat up a bit. Midoriya realized you were blushing and blushed a bit himself. "No, why would I have more to it? I just want to go on a walk," he said quickly. "I'm sorry, I just didn't, I'm sorry, I didn't know that question would make you freak out," Midoriya said quickly. As you both took a moment to regroup and take a few breaths, you proceeded walking. Once you calmed down a bit, you sighed. "But there is one thing you have to know. Just don't be scared to tell me off," you said with a sigh, feeling your cheeks heat up more. "I like you a lot. I just didn't want to tell you because we're really close friends, and I didn't want to ruin that. Sorry." Maria stopped walking. Flustered, you stopped with him, and there was a long silence. "Listener, I like you too, a lot," Midoriya said, slowly breaking the silence. You exhaled in relief and smiled, definitely blushing a lot. You guys continued walking and talked about date ideas before making your way back to Midoriya's house. His mother greeted you immediately, seeming relieved, previously worrying about both of you. You both had big smiles on your face as you assured his mom that nothing happened and walked back to Midoriya's room. You continued studying all night. Shoto Todoroki. You, Suyu, and Uraraka had decided to invite a bunch of people over to your place for a movie night, and hopefully a sleepover since your parents were out of town. You had invited the rest of the Deku squad, as for the Baku squad. You cautiously asked. When you did, Mina immediately jumped up, speaking for the whole Baku squad when she said they'd go. Bakugo wasn't very happy about this, but Kirishima had convinced him to go and not blow anything up. Suyu went around and asked everyone except for Mineta if they wanted to go. Only a few people had declined, and most of them declined with reasoning. That night, you, Suyu, and Nuraraka had ran around your house like crazy, making sure everything was ready. And to ensure that it was, you started waiting for people to come over. As expected, Ida was the first to arrive, followed by the rest of the Deku squad, then Mina, Kaminari, and Sero, who had informed everyone that Kirishima was currently telling Bakugo to chill out. It was now a bit later into the night, 10 p.m., and Mina was teaching Kaminari how to do more dance moves than the electric slide. This was making almost everyone laugh. You started laughing so hard that you subconsciously leaned sideways into Todoroki, suddenly feeling cold on her side. Sorry, Todoroki, I didn't mean to, you said quickly. He smiled and shrugged. By 11 p.m., Ida, Midoriya, Kaminari, Tsuyu, Uraraka, Momo, and Tokoyami fell asleep in random spots, leaving you, Todoroki, Mina, Bakugo, Kirishima, Seto, and Jiro awake. Jiro sighed and stood up. Listener, do you have a spare bedroom? Jiro asked. Yep, it's across from the bathroom, you said. Jiro nodded and walked into the spare room, soon falling asleep in there. You guys continued watching movies, Bakugo calmly taking popcorn and throwing pieces at Midoriya's sleeping body, which made Mina laugh each time. Within the next hour, Kirishima and Bakugo managed to fall asleep. Now it was just you, Todoroki, Seto, and Mina. You and Mina were quietly making jokes about the movie for a little while. At one point, Mina laughed out loud out of panic. Seto taped her mouth closed, not wanting anyone to wake up. Mina took off the tape. Seto, she exclaimed. Shh, Mina, Sarah warned. He looked at Todoroki after realizing you hadn't heard from him for a while. He looked back at you. Yes, listener? Todoroki questioned. Oh, nothing. I just wanted to see if you still... Awake. You were interrupted by yourself yawning. He noticed that you were tired and lightly pulled you into him. This made Mina look at you both. Are you guys together? Seto asked. No, what makes you think that? Todoroki asked, genuinely confused. You're letting listener cuddle with you, Mina said, confused now as well. They're tired. Why not? Todoroki reasoned. Um, I... They're blushing a lot, I said. Am I making you uncomfortable? Todoroki said as he looked at you. You shook your head and smiled. Mina and Seto exchanged looks and tried their hardest not to break out into uncontrollable laughter. Mina looked you in the eyes, almost yelling at you to tell Todoroki you like him. He sighed. Todoroki, you said as Mina almost exploded like Bakugo. Yes, listener? Am I too hot? Too cold? He asked, assuming that's what you needed to regulate his body temperature. No, Todoroki. I know we're really close friends, but there's a reason Mina and Sarah were asking things like that. Todoroki, I like you. I like you. And I understand if you were cut off by Todoroki kissing the top of your head and Mina covered her mouth, almost dying. Listener, I like you too, Todoroki said, smiling. You can call me Shoto. After that, you ended up falling asleep in Todoroki's arms. Mina fell asleep near you guys because she was still admiring you both before sleeping. Seto fell asleep on the couch, and Todoroki fell asleep holding you in his arms. That was adorable. Katsuki Bakugo. We sat in the common room, watching Bakugo fight with Ida. Unluckily, Kirishima was out training, so we couldn't be there to calm Bakugo down. Mina walked up behind you and tapped you on the shoulder, making you flinch. Sorry, listener. I was just wondering if you wanted to try calming Bakugo down. You and Kirishima always seem like the only ones, Mina said. It was true. When Kirishima wasn't there, you always seemed to be the only one to calm Bakugo down. You had no idea why. Or how. Sure, you said before standing up and looking at Bakugo. It's unacceptable to put your feet on the desks, Ida yelled. I put my feet wherever I like, Bakugo yelled back. Bakugo, you said, walking closer to Bakugo and Ida. What? Bakugo yelled, looking at you. Calm down, please. You're being really loud. Can you please stop? You said. Bakugo would have yelled at you if you were anyone else. Couldn't handle your cuteness. So instead he sighed and walked past you into his dorm. Ida walked off into his dorm shortly after. He sighed and looked at Mina. Good job, listener. You shut them both up. Thank you, Mina said with a smile, hugging you. You smiled and hugged her back with a giggle. Later, Ida had come out of his dorm. Bakugo was still in his. Kirishima did come back, but Mina informed him out of the situation. Kirishima apologized to you for not being around, causing you to deal with it, enraged Bakugo. Later that day, everyone was in their dorms, including yourself. Most people were asleep. You weren't. You were thinking about how Bakugo has stayed in his dorm for the rest of the night. You felt guilty. You sighed, recognizing that you'd never fall asleep at this point, and walked over to Bakugo's dorm and knocked on the door. You heard Bakugo curse under his breath before opening the door. What the... Listener, why are you here? It's late. Bakugo said. I know, I'm checking on you, you replied. I don't need to be checked on, Bakugo yelled. Bakugo, shh, everyone's sleeping. Stop yelling. He warned before you both heard a door open and close. In panic, Bakugo pulled you into his room and shut the door so no one would see that you had come out of your dorm to go to his dorm. You looked at him confused. He looked at you and his eyes told you to stay quiet. A few seconds of silence had passed before Bakugo realized you looked tired. Why aren't you asleep? You're obviously tired, Bakugo said, breaking the silence. I couldn't stop thinking about how you looked after I yelled at you. I feel bad. I'm sorry, you said slowly. Bakugo sighed and sat down on his bed. Sit, Bakugo said sternly. You sat next to him. You shouldn't be the one apologizing. I'm not apologizing either, but you shouldn't beat yourself up for something that wasn't your fault. You sighed and yawned a bit. You went to say something, but Bakugo interrupted. You're not going to be able to get back to your dorm without somebody noticing. You're such an idiot. Why didn't you just call or text me? Bakugo asked, his normal attitude coming back. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking, you claimed. Idiot. Just lay on my bed. I'll lay on the foot. Before Bakugo could finish, you slowly leaned into him, the sleepiness taking over. Bakugo sighed. He tried waking you up at first, but since that wasn't working, he just leaned into his pillows and eventually fell asleep too, holding you subconsciously. In the morning, you woke up and got super flustered, realizing you fell asleep in Bakugo's dorm, in his arms. When Bakugo woke up, he would have started yelling and telling you the story that it wasn't on purpose, even though he would certainly not mind holding you like that again. Okay, I know I didn't put this after, but I'm probably going to do a part 2 because that wasn't all of the characters that were written for the one shot. So, yeah, also I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye!